Good morning, and welcome to Healthy Cleaning Best Practices for Schools. I'm Leslie Taylor from the California Department of Education. Our School Facilities and Transportation Services Division is pleased to host presenters from the California Department of Public Health and the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District on this important topic. Special thanks to the California Association of School Business Officials for their role as a promotional partner in this event. Part of my role here at the CDE is administering U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Schools, a national recognition program that honors schools and districts for their work in going green. Before we begin our presentation, I'll show you briefly how the healthy cleaning best practices that are discussed in this webinar tie into the Ed Green Ribbon Schools criteria. Ed Green Ribbon Schools is based on demonstrated achievement in 3 pillars of sustainability. Today's webinar focuses on best practices in Pillar 2, improved health and wellness for schools, students, and staff. Drilling a little deeper, Element 2A addresses an integrated school environmental health program, including asthma control. Applicants are asked to describe how the school or district controls and manages chemicals routinely used in schools to minimize student and staff exposure, and specifically to describe actions the school or district takes to prevent exposure to asthma triggers in and around school. Element 1C addresses an applicant's green cleaning custodial program, including cleaning products, services, advanced equipment, and relevant policies. Because we want as many schools and districts as possible to participate in Ed Green Ribbon Schools, Superintendent Torlakson announced California Green Ribbon Schools in March 2014. Our state-level award establishes a scale based on the federal application that recognizes schools and districts who might not be our federal nominees, but who are doing good work in the 3 pillars. State-level recognition begins at 55% achievement on the Ed Green Ribbon Schools application. The role of the California Department of Education is to implement and administer Ed Green Ribbon Schools and California Green Ribbon Schools. Part of that work is coordinating the selection of private school nominees with the California Association of Private School Organizations. We provide resources and support to applicants via our webpage, presentations at regional, state, and national conferences, and direct technical assistance like this webinar. A significant effort of the CDE in the area of disseminating best practices is around social media communities for California Green Ribbon Schools. You can find us on Facebook as California Green Ribbon Schools and on Twitter as @CAGreenRibbon. If you're interested in more information about state or federal Green Ribbon programs, please contact me anytime at greenribbonschools@cde.ca.gov. If you have questions during this webinar, please type them in the chat box and we'll incorporate them into the presentation or address them in time remaining at the end. With that, I'm pleased to turn things over to Debbie Shrem from the California Department of Public Health's Work-Related Asthma Prevention Program. Debbie received her master's in public health from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. In her job, she helps school districts transition to asthma-safer and healthier cleaning products and methods. Today, she will discuss the guidelines on healthy cleaning and asthma-safer schools that her department recently released.
Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate the opportunity to partner with you all in the California Department of Education, with CASBO, and with Livermore School District. Again, my name is Debbie Shrem, and I work in the Work-Related Asthma Prevention Program in the California Department of Public Health. We collect data and information about work-related asthma throughout the state and make recommendations to reduce exposures to asthma-causing agents. Our Work-Related Asthma Prevention Program created this project, which we sometimes will refer to in this presentation as CLASS, Cleaning for Asthma-Safe Schools. So today I'm going to talk with you about the guidelines that we recently released in October, and everything I mention in this PowerPoint presentation, you will be able to see them in the guidelines. You can find them online, which I will give you the link at the end of the presentation, and we do have some print copies available as well. So during today's talk, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about a custodian and a school teacher who got sick from common cleaning products. I'm going to describe what is work-related asthma, how cleaning products impact health and learning, as well as some steps to transition to healthier cleaning, and some helpful tools. But first, first, let's start with a few stories. Our program receives work-related asthma cases that are comprised, click on here, okay, that are comprised of emergency department data, hospitalizations, workers' compensation claims, and doctors' first reports in California. So everything, the stories I'm going to tell you are very specific to California. Here's one case we received. If I can click to the next slide. There we go. This was a case study that we received of a 43-year-old high school custodian, and he had breathing problems, but he didn't know why. His breathing got better when he was away from work for a few months, and then once he returned to work, his breathing problems came back. Usually I can click per picture, but I can't here, so that's why they're covering each other up. Once he returned to work, his breathing problems came back. He visited the emergency department several times and was repeatedly told he had bronchitis. He finally received an asthma diagnosis, which he realized was from the bathroom disinfectants and the floor stripper that he worked with. 1 year later, he left his job because of his breathing problems. This next case study is about a 57-year-old kindergarten teacher who had asthma that she developed as an adult, but not while she was at work. She had been at the same school working for 8 years, and one day she was given a spray bottle by a custodian to clean the tables in her classroom. She immediately developed a wheezing and had trouble breathing. While she had inhalers at home for her asthma, she had to go to urgent care and was put on stronger medicine, including needing to do breathing treatments at home. Asthma is very common, and people with asthma are affected by the cleaning products used in schools. Our work-related asthma prevention program has many, many cases and examples of people cleaning like this one, as well as the one that I just told you about. Cleaning products can cause or worsen asthma, and switching our cleaning products can prevent this type of situation from happening among our school staff and students. So this project is looking to avoid cases like these from happening again. So what is work-related asthma? It's considered work-related when a worker gets new asthma that started as a result of their work exposures. It's also considered work-related when someone who already has asthma gets worse while at work. So the case of the custodian, who the picture on the left, he had what's called new onset asthma, which is that the asthmagens, the chemicals that can cause asthma, gave him new asthma. People can be affected in many settings once they have asthma, and the sooner somebody's exposure is stopped, the better their health outcomes. In the second picture, the picture on the right, the kindergarten teacher had what we refer to as work-aggravated asthma, which is that her asthma got worse while she was at work. Strong odors, irritating chemicals, dust, cold air, and mold can all affect somebody who has asthma. Work-related asthma is serious, and it can make people very sick. So the reason for creating these resources, we have many. In California alone, 40% of adults with asthma report that it was caused or aggravated while they were at work. So that's about 1 million people. And in our database that we get, which I talked about in the beginning, from workers' compensation claims, doctors' first reports, et cetera, 11% of our cases linked their asthma to cleaning products. And so now the statistics on this slide are the numbers referring to that statistic. So of those 11%, 1 in 5 of them worked as a cleaner, so they were the ones that were doing the cleaning at the time. But 4 out of the 5 workers, 80%, were not actually cleaning, but they were around while cleaning had just happened or while it was happening. So they walked into a bathroom either while it was cleaning or after it had been cleaned. And then 50%, half of our cases had new asthma that started after they began their work. So on-the-job exposures likely caused their asthma. So again, using safer cleaning products protects not just custodians and school staff, but also students. So now I'm going to quickly just go into a little bit more detail about some more health concerns about cleaning products. Cleaning products have many harmful chemicals. Not only may they cause asthma or make it worse, but there are many other ill effects that are potentially caused by common cleaning products. Ingredients in regular cleaning products have been linked to many health effects that are acute, so problems that happen right away, like eye damage or lung irritation, or chronic problems that take longer to develop, like cancer and asthma. And when it comes to asthma, one of the best things to do to clean is to get rid of dust and mold and other triggers. So it's important to clean, but it's also important to clean with products that don't make people sick. People deserve to work and learn in a safe and healthy school environment, and they can, since safer cleaning products and methods do exist. And we've seen the data is there showing that asthma and other health effects can impact learning and productivity. Children have a high rate of asthma, not just in California, but across the country. For our state in particular, about 14% of children have been diagnosed with asthma. It is one of the most common chronic diseases in the U.S. Effects of asthma include missed school and work days, disruption of sleep and daily activities, urgent medical visits for asthma exacerbations, and sadly, even death. Asthma impacts family members, friends, and schools, and when kids miss school, schools lose funds and lower academic achievement occurs. Asthma-related absences in California schools cost about $30 million in lost revenue each year. So what we did was we created a really simple and easy-to-use step-by-step process. This is supposed to make you laugh. Hopefully you did. Just kidding. This was actually our step-by-step process to walk people and facilities, the maintenance and operations facilities departments, to help them transition to asthma safer and healthier cleaning. So the first step is to create your asthma safer and healthier team. The second step is to train them, and these resources are spelled out in the guidelines in particular. The third one is to inventory your products, so to go through and look to see what it is that you have in stock, how many neutral cleaners are you ordering. Maybe you can just order one instead of 5. The next one is to select your products, so to look to see which are the products that I want to test out. You know, oh, maybe I have a graffiti remover that is super hazardous. Are there some that might be better out there to test out? And then invite vendors to come and meet with you and tell you what their line of green and asthma safer products are. The sixth step is to then test and evaluate your products. So once you've picked out your vendors and you know which products you want to test out, setting aside a couple of weeks per product to see what you think of them. And finally, the final step is to communicate your successes. The school community will want to know that you've been transitioning your products to being healthier and asthma safer. One of the things that we really wanted to make sure of in doing for the guidelines would be to solicit custodial input. We felt that having custodians be totally involved in the process would lead to its success. And so in creating the team, deciding who is on the team is one way we solicit input. Testing out the products is another way, having them be involved in selecting who the vendors are, as well as recommending the best products for the district. Now I'm going to talk with you a little bit about what green cleaners are. They tend to cost the same or less. They're better for people's health, for the environment, and tend to work just as well as traditional cleaners. Green cleaning refers to using safer and environmentally friendly cleaning methods and products. Many green cleaners don't contain ingredients that are known to cause asthma, cancer, reproductive problems, and skin allergies. Green cleaners are less harmful than conventional cleaners and do not emit as many volatile organic compounds, compounds that create ozone, or chemicals that can disrupt hormones. Green cleaning products are manufactured, packaged, and distributed in ways that are environmentally friendly by minimizing harm to aquatic life. That's just one example. They are biodegradable and they use less energy. So one example of how green cleaners are safer for the environment is that they are often concentrated and you can dilute them on site. So rather than purchasing expensive ready-to-use products, green cleaners come highly concentrated. So that way, people don't have to pay for fuel to ship water across the country. Installing equipment to automatically dilute these cleaners with water on site is considerably more cost-effective and safer for workers that are doing the mixing and the cleaning. Some dilution control systems dilute one multi-purpose product at different strengths, and so this can reduce the number of cleaning products needed for purchase, which also saves money. And we did find that some green cleaners are not always protected for asthma because they use chemicals that can cause asthma. So that's why we saw a need specifically, not just to focus on green cleaning in general, but on Asthma Safer. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a little more detail now. So Green Seal and UL EcoLogo are two third-party certification programs. Our class project, Cleaning for Asthma Safe Schools project, our guidelines from the project specifically recommend selecting cleaning products that are third-party certified by reputable organizations like Green Seal and UL EcoLogo. So these two third-party certification programs, they certify most of the relevant products for schools, such as general purpose, restroom, and glass cleaners. Most of these do not allow ingredients that could cause asthma, cancer, and harm our environment. These standards consider vulnerable populations in settings such as schools, daycare facilities, nursing homes, and other facilities. As I mentioned, not all green cleaners are safe for asthma, and so these two standards in particular, UL EcoLogo 2759 as well as GS37, they don't allow the use of chemicals that can cause asthma. There's also a lot of other prohibitions, a lot of other things that they prohibit, such as carcinogens. So we feel that it's important to use third-party certified green cleaning products because it's a great way to get schools to improve their use of cleaning products. Most people, school districts, facilities departments don't have the resources to determine if a product is green or healthy, and so this is one way to ensure that. Green Seal and UL EcoLogo, they're also multi-attribute, so they look at health, they look at the environment, they look at energy. They're not narrow in focus, and they take a more comprehensive approach. The products they certify are made by mainstream companies. They have comparable prices, and they must work well and meet performance standards in order to be certified. Good certifying agencies also make sure that they receive multidisciplinary stakeholder input to create the criteria to undergo product review and conduct on-site auditing. So they make sure they do what these companies say they're going to do. And the guidelines also go into detail on something that we call greenwashing. You might be familiar with the term. It happens when people are led to believe that they're using a green product when in fact it's not actually green. So people may be misled into buying products that do not deliver on their environmental promise. A report on greenwashing by TerraChoice found that more than 95% of products claiming to be green had at least one false or misleading claim. So because it can be tricky to identify false claims, custodians, teachers, parents, and even vendors, I've sadly had the experience of that, may not know the difference either. So starting a green cleaning program can be challenging and confusing. So the class project has seen many school districts who have tried to use or purchase healthier products and have instead purchased products that were not actually green. So they were victims of greenwashing. There are so many products out there, and knowing which ones are truly safer from asthma, endocrine disruptors, cancer, and are safer for the environment is incredibly important. So I've had many phone conversations with companies that call me up and say, no, we're not certified by Green Seal or EcoLogo. We have our own green line. And so this is a webpage of one such company. This is a very common scenario. But what happens is upon closer examination, many of these products, even though they have their own green line, would never have passed the requirements that are necessary to become certified by Green Seal or UL EcoLogo. So a product may contain an ingredient that causes asthma, or it may be too corrosive. So and then companies tell me, well, it's too expensive to become third-party certified, which we then looked into, and we found out that applying for certification is frequently a very small part of a company's budget, and it is a worthwhile investment if they truly have a green product. So green cleaning is not only about the chemicals, but also about using better tools, cleaning methods, and equipment to create a healthy environment and to reduce cleaning exposures. Green equipment is frequently asthma-friendly because it can effectively remove allergens like dust and mold and use fewer chemicals that may cause asthma or make it worse. Green equipment also requires less water, is designed to increase productivity, and to reduce injuries. These technologies can help save schools money in the future on labor and healthcare costs, and possibly on asthma-related absences. So, for example, abrasive floor pads, they strip floor wax in place of asthma-causing chemicals. And carpet extractors remove soil and residues from carpets and reduce mold growth. So that's just a couple of examples. A few more is that walk-off mats can remove allergens from shoes to keep floors cleaner and less dust circulating the air. And vacuum cleaners with high-efficiency air filters, they can effectively capture dirt, dust, and germs. Microfiber is also an important cleaning tool. The thing that I really like about it is that it tends to require less effort. So tests have shown that cleaning with a microfiber mop reduced the number of bacteria by 99%, whereas conventional cleaning reduced bacteria by about 33%. The University of California at Davis Medical Center found that custodians used 95% less water and chemicals when using a microfiber mop compared to a cotton string mop. The fibers carry an electric charge that attracts dust, and the tiny fibers penetrate cracks that traditional cloths and paper towels cannot. So when I talk about asthma-safe cleaning, what exactly am I referring to? I'm getting help here. Okay. It's also about, so asthma-safe cleaning is also about using the right product for the right use. This includes training custodians to prevent the overuse of disinfectants, and disinfectants should not be treated as routine cleaning products. Our the California's Work-Related Asthma Prevention Programs database contains many examples of school staff that experienced asthma symptoms from disinfectants in school. So really, an infection control plan is the best way to ensure that disinfectants are being used only where needed and that they're used properly. And on our website, we have a disinfectant control handbook that was created by really, I think, some of the leaders in this subject throughout the country. Disinfecting is an important part of a Cleaning for Asthma Safe Schools program that really is to be used sparingly and only when necessary. Disinfectants are pesticides. They are designed to kill all germs, and many disinfectants contain ingredients that can cause asthma or make it worse. So if not handled properly, some disinfectants can also cause eye damage, chemical burns, and severe skin irritation. So according to the Environmental Protection Agency, regular cleaning can remove up to 99% bacteria if a microfiber cloth is used. So that's why it's usually not necessary to disinfect school classrooms, including desks. The same applies for floors unless there is blood, body fluid, vomit, feces, or if required by law. Studies have shown that disinfecting floors offer no greater health protection over routine floor cleaning. And the Centers for Disease Control recommends routine cleaning rather than disinfection for high-touch surfaces. So that can include doorknobs, light switches, handrails, shared equipment. So districts can clean these areas on a routine basis during the day with a microfiber cloth and a third-party certified all-purpose cleaner. And when there is an outbreak of an infectious disease and the surface is touched by a variety of hands, custodians can clean more frequently. So I already talked a little bit about disinfectants. And the one thing I want to say is when I mentioned before that there were the third-party certified programs, UL Ecologo and Green Seal, disinfectants do not go under that category. EPA does not allow outside entities to certify disinfectants because they are considered pesticides. And so for this reason, disinfectants and sanitizers, which have an EPA registration number, cannot be certified by Green Seal or Ecologo. Instead, EPA created a pilot program, which is called the Design for the Environment's Antimicrobial Pesticide Pilot Project, and they approve safer disinfectants. Products approved under this program do have the Design for the Environment label. Oh, and there's a new label, and I'm sorry I didn't update the presentation. I just realized that just came out. So if you have questions about what the new label looks like, let me know. You can email Leslie through the chat button. So what we did was we created a list of asthma-safe ingredients and ingredients that may cause asthma. And so we can also find safer disinfectants by reviewing the ingredients on the cleaning products label or their safety data sheet. So this table right here lists products that are preferable to use and products to avoid. Asthma-safer disinfectants contain hydrogen peroxide, citric acid, lactic acid, ethyl alcohol, and isopropyl alcohol. So these ingredients do not cause asthma. And ingredients to avoid include quaternary ammonium compounds, also commonly referred to as quats. Quats have a lot of different names, and so what I have listed on here is just a short list. But basically, if the chemical lists something that sounds like quaternary ammonium compound, like dimethylbenzyl ammonium chloride, lauryl dimethylbenzene ammonium chloride, then it's a quat. Other ingredients include sodium hypochlorite, which is found in bleach, glutaraldehyde, peracetic acid, and thymol. These ingredients are found in disinfectants and are asthmagens. So in other words, they can cause asthma. And while vinegar is natural and people like to use it, it contains a significant amount of a known asthmagen. Cleaning products that contain acetic acid, which is a major component in vinegar, would not be certified by Green Seal or Ecologo. So now I'm going to talk with you about some of the guide's training tools and the resources that we included. So the two stories that I opened my presentation with are examples of what we have in the guidelines. So, for example, the one that you heard about was the high school custodian who left his job due to asthma. We also had a case of disinfectants wipes that caused an asthma flare-up. Other things that we did was we created what's called health spotlights. So when there was a point that we really wanted to make, we called out to it, such as the importance of hand washing in helping you create an asthma safer cleaning program. We also created different resources in the guidelines. We have a whole list of cleaning products ingredients that are asthmagens. And then I also showed you the table that we created of asthma safer ingredients and ingredients to avoid. We also did a recommended labeling program, and we tiered it. So, for example, level 1 is what we call level 1 is products and certification programs that prohibit the most asthma-causing chemicals. So that's the safest and healthiest option, and so that's what I talked about with Green Seal and Ecologo, GS37, and UL 2759, thank you. They changed the numbers, so I still haven't memorized them. And then level 2, for example, prohibits some asthma-causing chemicals. Other helpful tools that we created, and we tested these out. Oh, that's something I didn't mention. When we started this program, we did a couple pilot programs with some districts. This was several years ago, and in working with school districts, we created these tools and have since refined them. So we created Appendix D, which is a cleaning product inventory form, so for districts to go through and see what they have. Then the picture with the smiley and sad faces, that was an evaluation form. So after districts test out their different products and they're evaluating which ones they like the best, I created this sheet here. I know that many custodians speak different languages, so I tried to create it as friendly for people who maybe don't have as fantastic of a command as English as others. So I tried to put in pictures for the evaluation sheet. And then we also created a sample vendor letter, which when districts are looking to see what products they might transition to, who are some vendors that they could reach out to. And this letter includes all the things that districts might want to consider asking their vendors to bring and present. We also then created a school newsletter and a press release for a local newspaper. Districts work really hard when they're transitioning their products, and so being able to toot their own horn is great. And it's also fantastic to be able to then say that these are things we're doing, and because the school community will want to know that they're making these changes. Other helpful tools, once a district has really gotten more secure in their healthier and asthma safer cleaning, they then might want to go to the school board and say, okay, let's pass the resolution or let's have this model policy. And then what we did in the past was at that school board meeting, we would give custodians a certificate acknowledging them and thanking them for their hard work. So this is our website. And this is a way that you, as a school district, can consider cleaning for an asthma-safe school, or you can encourage your local district. We created a short video about how one custodian had work-related asthma, and then we featured Glenn, who you're going to hear in just a minute, about how his school district transitioned to healthier and asthma-safer cleaning by using these guidelines. So please check out our website. And then I also have my email address posted on there, debbie.schremm@cdph.ca.gov. And there it is again, so you have it twice, as well as with my phone number and my contact information. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. Glenn will now talk with you about his experience with following the guide and transitioning to asthma-safer cleaning. But before I pass on the baton, I want to tell you about Glenn. I've really enjoyed working with Glenn these past several years, and he was involved in private industry before he came to the Livermore Valley School District in 2011 as the operations supervisor. Glenn oversees the custodians at the district's 21 facilities, as well as the grounds crews for those facilities, the summer team cleaning at all sites, and the gym floor refinishing. He is a certified playground safety inspector and is in charge of the integrated pest management strategies for the district. He is married with 3 children, and I found out he also volunteers at the local police station. So what's there not to love about Glenn? Thank you all, and here's Glenn.
All right, thanks, Debbie. So, as someone who's gone through this process, I've been asked to kind of just run through how the Livermore School District did our transformation using the class model as Debbie has outlined. So, like many of you, I'm sure you have some perceptions that maybe green cleaning doesn't quite get the job done as well as some of our more standard cleaning products, that the products without bleach, ammonia, acetic acid, et cetera, just don't have the same cleaning power. And that was our thoughts coming into this, that though they were safe, safety came with a sacrifice of just not cleaning quite as well. Also, current concerns we had were that they're going to be more expensive. Green products cost more, which would have an impact on our already tight budgets. If a product was labeled green, it must be green, which is not true, and Debbie kind of ran through that a little bit, and we found it when we were in search of vendors self-proclaiming their products. So many manufacturers do self-proclaim their products as green, but the research, as Debbie pointed out earlier, shows that up to 95% of the consumer products claiming that they were green are in fact not. So we began soliciting our vendors for green products. We ran into that several times, letting us know that their products were green, but they had absolutely no basis for their claim that their products were green. Our custodians were apprehensive about green products. They had some of the same concerns that I've just mentioned, high cost and clean well, as well as the concern that this was just another management decision being forced upon them, making their jobs just that much harder, and we all know how well that stuff's received. So getting started, didn't move.
We're looking to advance the slide here. Bear with us. I feel like we should put on some happy music now. Let's see.
Yeah, I had to be the one to do the difference.
Is that?
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
hopefully we don't have to do this every time. Okay, so getting started. Following the class project guidelines, we selected a group of sites to be tested. We chose a K-8 school and a large elementary. These schools offered us a good cross-section of cleaning areas and custodians with a good mix of personalities. And the K-8 school was right across the street from my office, so to be honest with you, that was pretty much picked by convenience. It made it a lot easier for me to observe the process and check out any of the concerns that the custodians had at that site while we were reviewing products. And the custodians were actually pretty excited about being chosen to try out the products, knowing that their input would possibly determine how we would be cleaning district-wide in the future. Contacting vendors to participate, I did so by phone, but Debbie said she had a form that you could also send out. But if your day is anything like mine, there's probably not too many days that go by where a vendor doesn't try to call on you trying to sell you the latest and greatest products that they specifically have to offer, of course. So I contacted a number of vendors, and all of them wanted to participate. I didn't have anybody tell me no. So I chose 4 vendors to participate out of the group that I called. And this is the ideal situation for them, if you think about it, putting their products in their hands, proving their claims of having the best product at the best value on the market. The requirement we had was the product. We wanted dispensing systems, and that we would need 2 weeks worth of cleaning product, all supplied what we needed. Every single one of them gave us the products that we needed, the dispensers that we needed to check out their products. The only deal that I cut with them to have them be a part was that at the end of this, we would completely show them the results so they could see how they stacked up against their competition, which I think they all appreciated, getting that feedback and information into how their green labeled products were going to rate against their competitors. So it moved. So the custodians used the cleaners and filled out a simple evaluation form for each of the products. We ran the test for 2 weeks, met for discussion. They would turn in their forms, and we got set up for the next set of trials. For the trials, the vendors also came in and met with the custodians, taught them how to use their specific dispensers and their products for the test period. And so it went on for about 8 weeks, a little bit longer than that as you developed into different products. But basically about 8 weeks is what it took us to run through 4 different vendors. So our lessons learned through this process: the use of the dispensing equipment is very beneficial. You've all heard of the glug-glug method, and this cuts away from that, and it adds exactly what is needed for them to clean instead of any extra or not enough product. Green cleaning products clean well, and the pricing is comparable with our standard products. Successful implementation is increased when the custodians are involved in the process. I feel very strongly about this because when you get the custodians involved, that's your sales force at the end of this to sell it to the other sites to get everybody on board. They're part of the process. They feel that part of the process, and they're going to help you to move the products into the other schools if your decision is made to do so. So where our district is today. So we began placing green cleaning products in the elementary schools, then the middle schools, and then finally the high schools. We moved traditional cleaners up the chain to the schools still using those products and gave replacement green products out of our maintenance budget. So what we did is we moved the products up into the middle school from elementary. I would then purchase the products so they didn't go through an added expense on the site level to get them the green cleaning products. And then after the elementaries are done, I pretty much didn't have to do that with the next set of schools because they already got the free products from the elementary schools. So that's how we kind of moved up and went from elementary, then into middle school, and into high school, moving up with the green cleaning products. We now have all the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School Districts set up with dispensers and green cleaning products, which includes 2 traditional high schools, 5 middle schools, in which 2 are K through 8, 8 elementary schools, our district offices, our maintenance and grounds departments, as well as 2 other sites used for work experience and other programs. So a couple of issues, I know you guys will have questions afterwards, but a couple of issues that have come up that I thought I'd go ahead and talk about was that during the wintertime, especially when you get outbreaks such as norovirus or different things taking place, the green products are not labeled to kill anything. So it takes away your status that Debbie talked about previously with regards to the EPA and the numbering. So even if they do, they're still labeled as not killing anything so they can have green certification. So we keep a hydrogen peroxide product available labeled appropriately so staff, parents know it kills the things, but it's also, because it's hydrogen peroxide based, it is a healthier product. So we keep some of that on site in case we have these outbreaks where we really need to scrub down a classroom to address concerns there. Some of our custodians still complain about wanting to go back to their old cleaners. You know, they want to switch back to the old. It's kind of like I think of my dad always wanting to have Chevys, no matter how good a Ford or a Toyota might be. You know, he did that. He's had Chevys for all his life, and Chevy's the truck to get. But you know, things change and things are better. But some people just don't like change. So those are, you know, just a couple of things that we've come across on a common concerns for different people. But anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Okay, we have some time left for questions, and one question that was typed into the chat box earlier asking about the rate of new asthma among workers. We're going to have Debbie address that.
Oh, okay. I just want to point out that I got a text message saying Glenn is awesome. Thank you, Glenn, for your presentation. Totally appreciate you coming up here. So the rate of new asthma among workers versus incidental exposure to cleaning and chemicals. Custodians have a rate of work-related asthma that is about twice that of all the occupations that are reported to us. And we can't calculate a rate for all bystanders since we don't know what the base number is. We don't have its denominator. And then we also got a question of, Leslie, do you want to read it?
When Debbie was showing the statistics about asthma, there was a question as to whether that included both work-related asthma and...
You mean occupational asthma and work-aggravated asthma? Yeah. Mm-hmm. WEA and OA. So yeah, when we're talking about work-related asthma, we are including statistics for both work-aggravated asthma and new onset. And then there was a question that talked about the slide that showed some examples of greenwashing on a website. I only had it up on the screen for a second. I'm not sure if the question was what the site is for that website. I would have to dig that up. That came up several years ago. But the reference to the greenwashing report from TerraChoice, Leslie sent that out privately or to everybody? To everybody. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead and type them in. We'll give you all a couple minutes to ponder. Maybe not that long, but sometime.
So just a bit of logistics. We are recording the webinar today, so it will be posted within a couple of weeks. I'm sure you'll find that on CDE's webpage. CASBO will be sharing it on their webpage. CDPH will be sharing it on their webpage. Or if you can't find it, feel free to email any one of us, and we would be happy to send it to you. We can also send it directly to all of the attendees today. Yes, on behalf of CDE, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and to thank Debbie and Glenn for sharing their expertise on this important topic. Oh, there's one more question. You're in under the gun, Tim. Would you be able to name some of the suitable products or product makers that are green approved? What do you guys use, Glenn?
Well, I thought about this question coming up about, what product do you guys choose and what do you go with? I don't really want to give away because I believe in the process so much. I don't know what your situation is if you're with a school district or assuming so, but you really got to get those custodians involved and get them into this process and pick out what's right for you. What's right in the Livermore School District for green cleaning may not necessarily be what your district picks for your cleaning product. So, I just think it's very important to go through the process, and I really am apprehensive about giving out what we came to. If you'd like, you can email me. My email address is up there. Hopefully you can grab it. But and ask me the question, and I will send you the names of the 4 vendors that we went through that we tested, if you'd like, if that helps you out. But I do not want to name the exact product that we chose to use in our district because I want everybody to go through the process. I think it's extremely important. If you're going to make this stick, you need to go through this process.
What about cost comparisons for disinfectants? Victoria says, a lot of people we work with say they can't switch disinfectants because of the cost.
Yeah, so we ran some of those tests on how much it was costing. And like Debbie had mentioned before about the dispensing equipment and the concentrate, people look at, oh, well, this jug of disinfectant's $9. Oh, but this product that you want us to use now is $25 a gallon. You know, oh, we can't afford this. They're not realizing that this one's getting mixed at 2-to-1, this one's 7-to-1. So where's your cost savings? I mean, we found that it was less expensive or about the same in all the products that we were testing.
So you found that it was about the same or less expensive when you looked at the whole?
Absolutely, as well as, you know, disinfectants, but as products in the whole, whether it was glass cleaner, multi-purpose cleaners, and different things. It was very comparable.
And, this is a good one from Jerry. How did you stop teachers from bringing in cleaners?
That is an ongoing problem. I think, you know, me and Debbie had been talking about this probably a couple weeks ago or so. Making sure that when you send out that beginning of the school year list, being involved with what they're telling their parents to bring to the classroom. Because I'll open classrooms under the sink all the time, and I'll see all these things labeled "keep out of reach of children" right there in the sink in the classroom. So yeah, we got to change that mindset, and it's going to take some time. But yeah, just working with the teachers and educating them and helping them create lists to give to their parents, because parents want to donate a lot of those things, you know, disinfectant wipes and different things at the beginning of the school year. So I think if you give them a list, say, hey, this is what we really want you to bring into your classroom, so that we're making sure that the products that we're using are much safer for everybody.
And I know that some districts actually tell teachers, if you have a product that is not approved by the district, we're going to take it away from you if we find it. And so and the districts do come in and take those products away.
When I find them on inspection of rooms, when I go in and open underneath the sink and find those products, I remove them. And it's not just, you know, that, it's our insurance carrier. When they come out and do site inspections and they open those sinks and see stuff in reach of children that's clearly labeled, keep out of reach of children, you know, they frown on that. So we take them out of the classroom when we see them.
Great. One more question. A couple more questions. Does EPA's design for environment only include disinfectants that do not cause asthma? So that's one of those third-party things, EPA's design.
Right. So the EPA's design for the environment only include disinfectants that do not cause asthma. You know, that's a good question. I will get back to you on that once I do a little more digging.
Okay. Next was Glenn. Can we have your email address again?
Sure. It's gSherman@lvjusd.k12.ca.us.
That's in the chat box, so everybody can contact Glenn about the great work that he's doing in his district.
Okay, and the answer for EPA is that yes, so far they only include disinfectants that do not cause asthma. They also look at more than just asthma as well, like making sure that they don't cause cancer. Any other questions? So then we got one more question from Kevin that said, thank you. You're very welcome, Kevin. Maybe along with the webinar recording that will be relayed to us later, actual statistics on which the 20%, 80% asthma numbers were based would be interesting to see. That's our own data that we've collected over many, many years, work-related asthma cases that we get through doctors' first reports, workers' compensation claims, emergency department data, as well as hospitalizations. So, Kevin, if there's something more specific than that, we can try and answer that question for you directly. Well, I think that concludes our webinar, unless if anybody wants to squeeze in one last question. All right, well, thank you all very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the webinar. It was fun to get all these actors together to help make it happen. Thank you again to Glenn and to Leslie and to Grace Vogt with CASBO for helping make this happen. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.